Hey, welcome to Apollo City Comics. I'm Brandon.
And I'm David.
And today we are kind of starting our quarantine journey as it hits us here. And we're going to talk about some zombies to just really set the mood.
You know, every time you say we're starting something, it only happens like one episode and then we never finish it. We should stop cursing it. Like, hey, we're starting our Lovecraft month. We did Lock and Key.
Which barely had a Lovecraft reference.
Yeah, dude, which is just like a very superficial like.
Maybe now is the time to read Providence and all that stuff.
Well, you've already said that we're starting our quarantine month. It's too late now.
Yeah,
it's not February. It's not Lovecraft.
Let's just do a bunch of episodes. Dude, it's a lot of reading. It's dense. It'll take us a month to. We could read everything we want to while still reading that, and then barely finish on time. Yeah, because the stuff is so dense.
Well, who knows how long it'll last? We'll see how desperate we get.
Yeah, honestly, see how much time we have towards the end of this. Have Alan Moore just destroy our minds. Well. You know what? David is a really big zombie fan, if you guys haven't noticed yet.
It's true.
And we've covered a lot of horror.
Surprisingly so. I was thinking about that today. I was like, man, we've really covered a lot of supernatural, spooky stuff.
More than I think we would average, like read on an average. Yeah, for sure.
It's like 70% Watchmen on this channel.
Yeah.
20% horror, and then like 10% other stuff.
Yeah, we really need to spice it up at some point.
Yeah, we had too much Watchmen.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, there's that Watchmen compendium.
Yeah, that's another episode.
Be a great episode to do.
Yeah.
And now's the time to do it.
And the Watchmensch, I need to read it.
Oh, gosh, we do.
It needs to happen. I haven't read it
either.
Yeah.
And there is also the Washmen, too.
What?
Yeah, the Washmen.
Wow, okay. Well, we'll save it for an anniversary episode. Okay, so today we're comparing two zombie books.
Yes.
Where the premise is more or less the same. We're comparing DCeased to the first Marvel zombies.
Mm-hmm. Like if you got volume 1 of each one of these and was like, I want to compare what's the better superhero zombie book. Mm-hmm. And you just pick them volume 1 to see what's going to catch your interest.
And we're going to settle that today. It will be settled. Maybe, I don't know. Well, what should we start with?
I should have worn a DC shirt since you're wearing a Marvel shirt. That would have been great.
I didn't do it intentionally. You know, now we're pretty much just working from home. You know what I mean? I just like grab whatever T-shirt is there, and then coincidentally, it was like just this Marvel Avengers shirt, and like all of these characters.
Yeah, that's a cool one too.
Are in this
all
book,
of them, yeah.
Except for Vision. I don't think Vision's in there.
I remember seeing Vision.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's in another volume out of the 20 they have.
Yeah, they have so many volumes. Which one should we start with, Marvel or DCeased?
Well, let's... I don't know. Which one do you want to do?
I don't know. It's tough. Let's do DCeased first.
Cool. I have a lot of good things to say about
Okay,
DCeased.
Cool, because I read it. I got the trade, the hardcover when it came out.
I saw it only has issues 1 through 6 just now.
Yeah, it's not...
doesn't have the tie-in.
It doesn't have any of the tie-in stuff. It is just strictly... And I've read the first issue of the tie-in, the Constantine one.
That's the only one they had out at the time.
Okay, I don't know what else has come out since then. I know they've done a couple of other...
Just recently, like only 2 issues are out of the 3, but... The Unkillables? Yeah, DCeased, The Unkillables.
Yeah.
And it's a 3-issue spin-off, which it's worth checking out if you like DCeased. I will say that right now.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. It's 2 issues in. I'd love to see how the 3rd one turns out. Even this spin-off, I'm hoping they're going to put like all the spin-offs together because it sounds like there's going to be more of the series.
And do just like a really, really big one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be great. Because volume 2 of DCeased, I think, is announced already. Mm-hmm. Because yeah, it is because they have the new Justice League appearing, which is going to be interesting how that turns out. So we'll see. But I don't have issue 1 with me because I think it's getting signed right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but this came out last year. I want to say last July. So it's a pretty new series for sure. And I mean, right off the bat, issue 1, I loved because I thought it was a cool way into bringing a twist on a zombie story and make it make sense in the DC universe. And it's kind of like the ultimate question that a lot of DC fans have always had, like, what is the anti-life equation? What would it do? And I don't know. I don't know what your spin is on it, but I think it's one of the coolest ways to bring a zombie idea into this universe.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. You know what I mean? I've heard it referenced in, the couple things we've read. I'm pretty sure they talk about it in Mr. Miracle.
Yeah, Mr. Miracle, yeah.
But I think it's very passable. I think it's a good way to bring it in. It doesn't feel un-DC. It feels very natural.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. And it's Cyborg, right? They inject it into Cyborg.
Yeah, so apparently Cyborg carries half of the equation and Darkseid has carried half of the equation. And Darkseid's whole mission in his life is to figure out the anti-life equation so that he can control the universe. And I guess the life equation is what everyone... So this is all Jack Kirby's Fourth World stuff. This is all Mr. Miracle universe. This is all Apocalypse, Genesis.
It's all the stuff that Brandon talks about every episode.
I love this stuff.
And then I kind of zone out for a little bit. I think about Animal Crossing for a second. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I will say that at first my gripe, because I had never read Marvel Zombies before, but my gripe coming into this the first time was that, man, you kind of need to know the DC universe and to know the anti-life equation and the importance of it to really get it. But then I'll continue that point later on when we get to Marvel Zombies. But, looking back and rereading, I was like, it fits. It's a really good explanation. And it makes people question what the anti-life equation is. And if you're interested, you're going to look into more comics.
I can see that. And I read it, and I didn't feel like I was lost or anything, because in reality, you don't really need to know what it is to read the book. You just need to know it's bad and it's turned people into zombies.
Yeah, yeah.
And if that's all you got...
It's a cosmic equation that is going to warp people's minds.
Man, I got to say, too, DCeased has such a dark, realistic tone to it. Yeah. It looks very gritty. The expressions on everyone's faces are great. The blood and all the tearing and cuts on people, particularly in issue 1 when Batman has to fight the Bat family, essentially.
Oh yeah, that's brutal.
It's really cool. They're all zombified and Batman's taking them out.
And just to give some background on this too, if Tom Taylor's the writer for this story and he's not afraid of taking out anyone at any point, and it's going to shock you because these are characters that are never taken out. Aquaman is right away on issue 2. But if the reason is because he wrote the Injustice series, the comic book form of Injustice.
Yeah.
And so he was notorious for just killing everybody at every turn of the page. And so I think that's what made this story work, because you had a writer that wasn't scared to just kill his babies.
Yeah. And I think every time you have some kind of horror spin-off of a larger universe, that's the fun in it, I think. That's what makes Marvel Zombies fun to read, or DCeased.
Yeah.
Because you want to see, this alternate universe and how the characters fare and everything. It kind of reminds me of this thing they had in Walking Dead. It was at the end of an issue, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it was ever released as a single issue, but they had this alternate timeline thing. It was only a few pages long, but it was in color.
Oh, wow.
And then, aliens invaded. And
sounds real familiar.
It was just super ridiculous. And they killed a bunch of people, just Glenn died, and this was before Glenn really died. And it was just really cool. It was a cool book. But it's only a couple pages. But it's that kind of thing, where you get to just, see the characters react in a totally different scenario.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of fun. And I like DC's because you're right, though. They don't, some of the most powerful characters become zombies almost immediately.
Yeah.
Actually, pretty much all of the ones that the main Justice League end up being zombies in the first couple issues, really.
Yeah. We have Batman turn. You see him get bit at the end of issue 1.
Yeah. And he tries to stop it with Mr. Freeze's
which is the coolest
life support thing.
Yeah.
That is really cool, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. He tries I thought that was one of the coolest looking suits.
And then doesn't Alfred put him down at the end of the issue too? Which is that's brutal, such a cool ending to that whole story, because Batman takes out the other
Nightwing and Tim Drake, Robin, and Batgirl. Then Damian, his son, is with Superboy. And they're hanging out playing video games.
Yeah. Because right at the beginning of the outbreak, Batman obviously makes a plan. You know what I mean? And then he gets the families, Superboy and you know, is it Lois Lane who's there too? Yeah, like all of the normies. They try to get together to save them, and they're kind of like in a way the protagonists of the story. Like
for sure,
they're the characters that you're supposed to root for, while everyone else is
getting chopped
up and turning into zombies and stuff.
I loved how Jordan turned, and then Black Canary gets the Green Lantern ring. I thought that was such a cool like switch around too, something that you would just not see in any other story. And everyone's regrouping, you know, chaos is, this all happens within hours, and already the world is just flipping out. And Lois and gets the kid. Well, Superman comes and gets the kids and Lois and takes them to the Daily Planet because they have an analog system to send out a signal to let everyone know.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much issue 2, right there. Whoops, sorry, Frank, that was my phone. And then issue 3 kicks off. Alfred's carrying a briefcase that Bruce told him to take, and he's standing over basically his kids, you know? And it's a really dark moment, and I love it because you just see how broken Alfred is. The Joker looks like one of the coolest like zombies ever.
Yeah, he is cool.
And Harley Quinn, you know, I have my ups and downs with Harley Quinn. I do. I loved Harley Quinn in the animated series. I hated the New 52 roller derby. Not a fan of the Birds of Prey stuff. But this one is like super... It's kind of writing off of all of that. But I think she's an independent character finally. And I actually appreciate her in this series. Although, is there something going on? Her Ivy dating at this point?
I think so. I feel like that's something that DC always kind of teases.
Right? Yeah.
Like Harley Quinn and Ivy having some kind of romance. Never all the way, but just a little flirty.
Yeah.
There's something about Harley Quinn being the one to kill Joker too.
Yeah.
Like that's always a cathartic thing in her stories. It's a pretty repetitive storyline, but you know, the Joker is abusive and is always kind of like the cause of her existence, really.
Yeah.
So
it's a real big focus on the animated show. I just finished it.
Oh, yeah.
It ends awesomely.
Really?
I can't wait for the second season. Yeah. And I thought I would hate this Harley Quinn, honestly, just because the way it's represented. I just wasn't a fan. I just wasn't. But no, it's super great. You still gotta check it out. I do like the zombie Birds of Prey that pop up.
Oh, the zombie Birds of Prey, yeah.
That was too great. And actually, in the spin-off that's out right now, Unkillables, it follows up with Gordon and how he finds out about Barbara turning and everything because Gordon's alive.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, super cool.
So is Catwoman in Birds of Prey? I don't know anything about the Birds of Prey, really.
I don't know much about the Birds of Prey, I won't lie.
Yeah.
Because it was the Gotham City Sirens, which was like Catwoman, Ivy, and Harley, I want to say.
Okay.
And then Birds of Prey was supposed to be...
like the good version
of that, yeah. And it's what, Batgirl, Oracle, Huntress?
Okay, yeah.
And... gosh, who else
someone
is in
else,
that show?
I don't know. But it seems like in this book they kind of just mix them up.
Yeah.
You get the cool... Are you talking about the Atlantis thing? Yeah. Aquaman turning into a zombie and then like him controlling sharks to eat other people.
Yes. That's so cool.
That is super cool. Yeah, that is really, really cool.
I will say that at first, I want to say like maybe 3 or 4 issues, I was kind of confused on how the anti-life equation... like how you get infected. Because at first they said it was blood, and it seemed like if you even interacted with the blood, you would turn. But then I guess you had to be injured and interacted with the blood. It had to get into like a wound.
Yeah, you're right.
And then for sure was
the bite will do it.
The bite will do it, and then seeing anything on a screen. It was like a techno-bio... like
the screen thing, I almost forgot about that. It has been a bit since I read this. But the screen thing is the only part that really stretches it from a normal zombie story.
Yeah.
But both of the books actually, I mean, and this probably is pretty obvious, but when a super being turns, they keep their super ability.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
But Marvel Zombies doesn't have anything like that, where it's like a digital part to it.
No.
I guess it makes sense, given the setup of what it is. I don't know if it was necessary. But you know what? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
I honestly thought that they should have either done one or the other, not both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I
like, is it a digital thing or is it a blood pathogen?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, how's
like,
it both?
I felt like I thought it was fine with just the digital thing, and I was like, oh, cool. Everyone's on their phone. Everyone's on social media. Everyone's like always in front of a screen. That totally makes sense. But then you're bleeding it into too much. That's one gripe I did have with this series.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
you can't make it everything.
It's a little muddled, yeah. You can't just give someone all the superpowers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You can't just pick a character and give them like super breath and then heat vision and, you know,
Flight.
super speed, flight, invulnerability.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be ridiculous.
X-ray
DC.
vision.
You can't do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just... Sorry, that's my cat messing with a headphone adapter. She's very curious about it. She's going to paw one more time. You'll hear it again. Oh,
Yep,
there it is.
It is.
Oh, then we also get Superman going to
see
Martha.
his family. Yeah.
To see his mom.
Ma and Pa. And
we find out Pa's locked up
in the barn.
in the barn, just like in Walking Dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. This is exactly what I thought of. I love how they put a barn scene. Like, I think it was just needed to put a barn scene in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those call tos in a zombie thing.
I guess so, right?
And then, you know, issue 4 kicks in, and we have a character that's always heavily looked over. What's his name? The Atom.
I didn't know who the Atom was.
I know who he is because of the Justice League cartoon.
We barely know who he is, apparently. But then it was cool that you get to see his microscopic infection. His infection.
Oh, no, wait, that's the Atom.
Yeah, the Atom. I don't know who the other guy is.
Oh, he's Captain Atom.
Wait, what?
Yeah, dude, that's Captain Atom, and the Atom is inside of Captain Atom.
Okay, wait, which one's which? Captain Atom's?
The silver guy.
What? You're messing with me, right?
I swear, dude, Google it.
No, you're right. He even calls him Atom. DC, I mean...
Well, I mean, these characters were created way back then, but I think that is, like, maybe we're just getting it because Tom Taylor obviously did that on purpose.
Oh, yeah, he's probably making a joke about it, but it just frustrates me. It's like, so you're telling me at this company, you know, they're having a meeting or whatever, and then whoever's like president of the company is like, you know, this is a really good idea, son, but... You know, unfortunately, we already have Captain Atom. We can't have someone called Atom.
Yeah. Find another reference, you know? Yeah.
Let's come up with another name.
The particle or the proton. Or...
Not to muddle, you know, our branding. We want to make sure everyone knows who... It'd be like... It would be like Spider-Man and then like the Spider. Yes. And they both exist. They're both like New York crime-fighting heroes with like somewhat spider abilities, but they're just different.
One has like the 8 arms and one has like 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's when he turns into the monster. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I did like slam my book down out of ridiculousness.
See, and when I was reading it, that probably never even came to my attention. I just thought that sometimes they called him Atom and sometimes they called him Captain Atom. Because I was like, I don't know who this guy is. Not as bad to the degree that I felt in Doomsday Clock, though. In Doomsday Clock,
you're just lost.
There were a couple issues where I was like, who are any of these people?
Yeah.
In this book, this is really like...
Dude, as a fanatic DC reader, I was like, oh man, I gotta do some research on stuff I don't want to do research on. You know? Like...
Yeah, just because you have 200... You know, just because you have 500 superheroes in your back catalog doesn't mean you need to bust them all out, DC.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably a reason why you don't need to.
Oh, and the Giganta scene.
Oh, yeah, this is really cool.
Dude, that was cool.
Very cool and very reminiscent of, you know, Ant-Man's role in Marvel Zombies, that you just have the giant monster.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, and also for people... It's just a good note. Barry and Wally were hiding out because they were like, you know, we realized that if one of us get bitten, a speedster, it's just doom.
Yeah.
You know? Like we shouldn't even be on the playing board right now.
We can't do that.
And so they're helping out a little bit now because they were brought out. A bat plane comes out of nowhere and starts firing at Giganta. And it turns out that Cyborg blasts her skull out.
Which was cool.
And then we have Alfred give Damian the bat suit.
Yeah, which is nice.
Like, sweet. Oh, good moment, you know?
Little tear rolling down.
Hawkgirl's wings are on fire. She comes crashing down. And the Atom. Okay, yeah, we skipped over the whole premise of the Atoms. So Ray Palmer, the Atom, was inside one of the zombie bodies, trying to figure out if he could figure out something at a.
This is so stupid. I feel like we should just skip this, just because of the name.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Please continue.
I know.
I'm just so upset.
Once I realized it, I know it's so annoying now. These characters are just stupid. But he's looking to see if there's like a biological connection, and he could figure out something at a microscopic level. Mm-hmm. And then danger comes a calling, and Captain Atom takes off. And while Captain Atom's fighting, he realizes there's something wrong with him, and the Atom is inside of Captain Atom, and that's how he infects. That's how the Atom infects Captain Atom, and then Captain Atom goes to DC and just blows it all up, and it blows up. Dude, half the country.
Yeah,
because he's a nuclear bomb. Yeah.
Atomic explosion. Yeah. From the Atom.
From Captain Atom.
Oh, sorry. From Captain Atom. Frank, just cut all this out. The next issue is...
Dude, these last 2 issues tore it up.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. We just start off with Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, too.
Are you reading...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are we going to talk about the... Because actually...
You know what? I forgot about this since the last time I read it. It intercuts it. It is in here.
Oh, it is in there?
The first issue. And they put it in the place where it should be.
Isn't it supposed to be between, 4 and 5, right?
Yeah, so they toss it in here.
Oh, so bad. Dude, on their where it lists what's in that, the one I just looked up at on Goodreads, it says 1 through 6, and that's it.
That's interesting. I don't know if this is different. I got this one on, what was it, local comic shop?
Day? It was like an exclusive.
It was an exclusive to local comic shops or whatever, and I grabbed the last copy. I had been wanting to read it. You know what? Before we go any further, too, I just wanted to bring this out here. I usually never buy DC books, really. And then when I was at the comic book store just perusing one day, I saw the cover of one that says The DCeased, based on the true case file of the Waynes, and I was like, whoa, that's The Conjuring. That's so weird. And I had just watched that movie. So I went back and bought some of them because a bunch of these books, they all have like horror movie covers to them.
Some cool ones
like
too.
issue 1 has like an It cover. The second one is Nightmare on Elm Street, which is like an awesome one with like Batman is Freddy and Poison Ivy is whatever her name is.
Yeah.
First one.
Do you have the variant covers?
Well, the variant covers are in the back, which is really cool.
There's
one of them's Final Destination
with Robin.
Yeah,
awesome.
La Llorona, which I thought was kind of a weird choice. I was like, did you really have to pick this super forgettable movie that no one is gonna remember at all?
Not at all.
And then this is the only I can't remember what movie this is for issue 3.
Is that the Nun one?
It might be the Nun. They did a bunch of like newer movies. And this one, I don't know which one this one is for issue 6.
I have no idea. It's a cool detective chimp.
I'd have to look it up. I kind of wish they went more classic with the horror movie references. But whatever, you know what I mean? But the tie-in issue is pretty cool. I mean, I don't think there's anything too big in it. Just like, it's how I feel about all these tie-in issues.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to see what Constantine's doing during this time?
It's literally
Mr. Miracle?
a tie-in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It is. It is tie-in in the most literal term.
Yeah, like it's not essential, which also is what I like about it. It's not like some of the Marvel books where you have to read 5 different, stories to even understand the main story. Like you don't need this for the main story at all.
No.
But Mr. Miracle, Big Barda.
But if you buy the hardcover, then you can read it and get a nice little tale.
You know, he did it again here too, and there's even a joke in this issue about it. But it's Big Barda, Mr. Miracle, and Mr. Terrific. And even Constantine is just like, I'm with the 2 Misters and the Big. Like Tom Taylor just put all this together. He's just ripping on it.
About this.
But the ultimate escape artists and one of the smartest men on Earth, they team up with Booster Gold and Blue Beetle.
Yeah, see, I'm totally checked out at this point. Like, for this issue. It's just too many people I don't care about. Although, I gotta say, if I hadn't read Mr. Miracle, I would have been totally checked out. But it was cool seeing them again, especially after reading that book that was so good. But this is cool. Again, this is what DC should do. They're saving all the really weird, deep-cut heroes for a side issue that doesn't really matter.
Because you pretty much know the whole cast of the main series.
It's just the Justice League. Yeah, pretty much.
Which is great. That's what we need.
That's what you should do for a big event like this that might bring in a reader like myself who wouldn't otherwise read DC, but maybe is just into horror or whatever.
Yeah. To read a Constantine, to read, Mr. Miracle or
exactly.
something. Yeah.
But then, they have that there for all the hardcore fans. And so I think it's really well planned how they did this one.
What I thought was super interesting too, because it hadn't been announced yet, but it's Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, which is from, Tom King did the story on their stuff. And right now, Tom King's new story, Strange Adventures, is based off of Adam Strange and Mr. Terrific. So just seeing Mr. Terrific with Mr. Miracle, the two Tom King characters in this one,
that's
and
cool.
Tom King's new series is now coming out. Issue 2 is supposed to come out tomorrow, but
Tom King's... Oh, no, it's not now, yeah. Tom King's working hard to represent some people who are out of the limelight, for sure.
Yeah, and I really appreciate it because he's getting some of these lower light characters and doing amazing stories with them, which is what you need. Because if that story wasn't that great, you weren't going to be interested in Mr. Miracle. You weren't going to read.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But now I feel like some affinity to the character, even though his costume is really, really dumb.
So, Mitch Gerards, whatever his name is, when Tom King was pitching the Mr. Miracle series, Mitch was just like, do I have to draw that stupid suit? And Tom was like, yeah, you do have to draw that suit. Mitch hates that suit.
Well, for good reason, man. It's really stupid. It's like the dumbest superhero costume I've ever seen.
I just thought that was brilliant. Yeah. So you and the artist are in agreement on this for sure.
Okay, cool. I'm excited. And you know what? He did a great job, but you can only put so much nail polish on a pig.
You know what? And are you a Constantine fan? Into Hellblazer at all?
No, not really. I've never even seen the movie.
Okay, I haven't seen it in years.
Supposed to be pretty good.
I remember. Yeah, it's Keanu Reeves. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of heaven and hell stuff. It's evolved a lot over the years.
Yeah.
So if I find a good enough arc, I'll definitely recommend it because I think you would like it because it's on the horror spectrum for sure.
I might have to check it out. It just seems like a lot. It seems like Supernatural, like the TV show Supernatural.
Oh, I see.
And I'm just like, I'm okay.
No, I wouldn't say that. It does deal with supernatural, a lot of horror, a lot of mystic stuff. But it's like I said, it's evolved so much from in the beginning. It was very just like a horror comic, like really trippy stuff going on. And then it goes into a lot into heaven and hell, and then it goes into magic. But
that's interesting. Okay.
You kind of have to find the Constantine that you like, but it's all one fluid story. Yeah.
Okay.
But
that's interesting. That's exactly how Supernatural is, though. The beginning, it's like creepy stories, and then it gets into a bunch of heaven and hell stuff, and then I'm like, ugh.
Oh wow, yeah.
I don't care about the angels battling.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Satan's army and blah 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 blah.
And it's, I mean, I'm reading. We'll talk about it later, but I'm reading Spawn right now.
Oh, you're still on the Spawn?
I'm on the Spawn kick right now.
There you go.
Yeah. But it reminds me a lot of Constantine in that sense too, because it starts off with very grounded street level crime, and then we're blending into the heaven and hell stuff, into some new mystic stuff. You know, I feel like that's the formula for some of these characters at this point. But what goes on in this issue?
Well, this next one we find out that the humans, like Lois and those we previously discussed, were protected by Green Lantern.
This is issue 5 now.
Yeah, this is issue 5. And then Lex Luthor's there. He wants to help out. He's like, this...
And weeks go by during this period.
Yeah, and then during those weeks, a protective jungle has grown over Gotham.
I thought that was cool.
And who could have done it? Who could have made this giant jungle consuming Gotham, just like it did in the third Batman video game?
That's right, yeah.
Who knows? Oh, wait, it's Poison Ivy, yes. So Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn's... this is just... It's you know what this is? It's what they do in anime all the time. It's just fan service.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just the girls getting together for all the sweaty boys.
I feel like this whole entire series is nothing but fan service. Yeah,
it's so fan servicey. But particularly, like, in anime, when you talk about fan service, it's like a sexual thing. You know what I mean? And that's like what this Harley Quinn Poison Ivy romance
is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just for all the fanboys who've, like, spent hundreds of dollars on models of poison ivy that they keep on their desk or something.
I was listening to an interview with the showrunner of the Harley Quinn show, and he's like, the biggest question we get is, when are Harley and Ivy going to become a couple now that she's no longer with Joker?
Exactly.
And he's just like, I don't see a purpose in doing it because you all have thought of it and it looks apparent and it looks like it's going to happen, so I don't want to do that. You know?
It's fan service.
Yeah. Like, he's like, so, I mean, it might make everyone happy, but I mean,
if this was anime, they would have already done it. And that's the difference. That's the difference between East and West.
I do like Zombie Killer Croc.
Zombie Killer Croc is cool.
Lois Lane is always awesome. Punches Lex in the face. I do like the line that Lex does say. Where is it? Superman, I am the most intelligent person on the planet, and wait, Batman is dead. Yes? Yes. Right. Then I am the most intelligent person on the planet.
Yeah, that is good. That is good.
What else goes on
Batman.
here?
Oh, well, we get Zombie Martian Manhunter.
You know what? Oh, yeah.
Who really causes a big fight with Firestorm, right? Is that who that is?
Yeah, it's Firestorm, yeah.
Hey,
and
look at this.
You wouldn't know that if it wasn't for Doomsday Clock.
If it wasn't me being super confused during all of Doomsday Clock. Well,
but now DCeased makes sense.
I guess, yeah. At least they left out all the doctor hidden inside my brain stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on, DC. Some of this is just stupid. Like, I get that it was written 70 years ago now, but some of it's bad.
Yeah.
Like, what Marvel character is that dumb? Like, oh, here's the professor living inside my head.
That one, I'm sure.
I'm just the body of a little boy. There's got to be something really dumb.
Gosh, I'm trying to think of an equivalent Marvel character.
Like, if you go through X-Men far enough, I'm sure there's a dumb mutant with a, like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
There's got to be someone really bad. Like, but even Jubilee is cooler than this guy.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing, is that Marvel had better characters, but just bad storylines.
I don't know. We'll get into that debate when we read this next book, I guess.
Yeah.
No, just, well, Martian Manhunter ends up getting Barry Allen, though. He ends up getting the Flash.
And I meant to mention this, I think, on issue 3, but I love the Clayface zombie,
too.
Yeah. And seeing the Martian Manhunter one reminded me. Those were
really
just
good
cool.
zombie designs, yeah.
Yeah, Barry's all torn up, and man, how are you going to stop the speedster from infecting everyone in a second? So Soups, being the man that he is, I love his idea behind it. He's like, I can't catch up to him, so I'm just gonna ram him head on
from the other direction. Yeah,
and make him hit me. Which, you know, this part threw me off. I mean, Soups gets Barry's fingers stuck inside of him, but like, how is this the one thing that penetrates Superman?
That's a good point.
I get the speed and the velocity and the impact type of thing, but it's Superman.
It has to go... Well, that's a good point. Why would the fingers get stuck? It's hard to say. I mean,
his whole body like imploded right now.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't think the science checks out there all the way, but
yeah,
because he straight up turns into like a meat bag. It's like Dr. Manhattan level stuff.
Yeah,
but somehow his fingers got stuck in there. And then...
But Superman's been doing all this stuff the past few weeks, like, no problem, fighting you know what I mean?
Yeah, it does seem
I feel like there's
weird.
bigger hits he took that didn't make him bleed at all, you know? But hey, you know, comic books.
Yeah, so then Superman tries to leave because he knows, hey...
he says his goodbyes and everything.
Yeah, I'm going to be turning... Well, maybe you should have skipped those goodbyes.
Yeah, dude, you just doomed everyone now just for being sympathetic.
You're the most powerful person ever. You don't have time for goodbyes. You just gotta leave. And then they start off with, of course, the faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive.
Oh yeah,
yada yada. But then this time he's just destroying a skyscraper because he's evil zombie Superman.
I love that. I think those lines worked out really well. Up in the sky, all hope was lost at 11:48 a.m. I was like, yeah. It was a Wednesday.
Yeah.
I was like,
that is good writing. Get a cute little scene of like the new Batman and Superman.
Yeah. And we bounced. Oh, so they're taking refugees in Themyscira right now.
Yeah. Which is where it's where you always go when things are really bad.
Yeah.
We never open our doors except for this one time.
And that's what dooms them all.
Yeah.
Because they expanded the island.
Every time it doesn't work out.
Ever.
Like, they're totally right. Yeah. Then they back down. And then
they listen to Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman dooms everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
Way to go.
But dude, this Kraken?
Dude, this Kraken is great, man. This Kraken is the best part of the whole book.
Yes. Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
It's insane.
And all the zombie Atlanteans coming up.
I love how Green. Okay, so I thought that was cool. Is that the previous issue? They say that Batman has a contingency plan for everyone except for Green Arrow, and Green Arrow's like, I could be a threat to the world if I wanted to, and Black Canary was just like, sure you can. I'm sure, yeah.
Oh, of course you can.
And then he shoots down Aquaman with one arrow in the eye, and he's like, Batman didn't think I could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Just fired an arrow half a mile through raging winds into the brain of an undead king of the sea while he was controlling the damn Kraken. Batman.
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
That is pretty funny.
Just good moments, yeah.
But Batman's still right. Like, you can shoot your bow as accurately as you want to, but...
We'll take you down, Green Arrow. Like,
yeah. It's like, you killed Aquaman. Calm down.
Exactly.
You got Aquaman, dude. We could have all had that.
Robin can do that.
Like, Robin can handle that.
Wonder Girl makes an appearance out of nowhere, too. Like, so I thought that was kind of a weird throw.
Oh, I thought that was Captain Marvel, actually.
She's way better than Captain Marvel, hands down.
Really?
Yes. Oh my god, yes.
Wonder Girl. Okay.
I'd take Wonder Girl.
Well, I mean, I guess I can't say this is just DC, but
that's everything.
That always bothers me. Spider-Woman.
When you think about comics back in between the 30s and the 70s, they all thought the offices were going to close the next day.
Yeah.
You know, they were spitting out ideas that
they weren't making a legacy. They weren't planning,
any of this. They didn't think it'd be around now. Like,
these are pop culture legends.
Look at how the creators of Superman sold Superman thinking it wasn't going to be worth anything, although since then they've had the power to change these damn names and make something of these characters.
Well, after the whole Shazam debacle, we know that it is possible.
We need to have a Shazam series where it's Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel, and then Marvel Man, and then Superman. We need to have an episode where we compare all these Marvels and figure out which one is more marvelous.
Is the most marvelous? Yeah. The marvelous of the Marvels?
It's probably... Well, then it turned into... we gotta read
There's so many. Man. There's so many. Yeah. But... what? Okay, so...
Oh, so we're on the battle.
Yeah, there's basically just a big old fight. Superman's all zombified.
Ooh, oh, at the beginning of this issue, I thought it was too cool that Wonder Woman crafted a sword with the kryptonite and went to battle with Superman.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is pretty sweet. And the kryptonite, of course, being Batman's contingency plan.
Mm-hmm. And seeing her stab Superman, so much fun.
And then Superman stab her with his hand.
In the gut. And so Wonder Woman's down. They have these lifeboats they were constructing, and they made that stuff fast, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, if... that would not be our reality, as we can tell.
Oh no, we'd still be waiting for a couple weeks.
Deciding if we should shut down. And then
the Green Lanterns show up.
Oh wait! We're
the cavalry have arrived. Oh, did I skip something?
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, it's about. Oh,
he's going to attack these. Superman is going to take out these lifeboats. Mm-hmm. And the Green Lanterns show up. They're the cavalry.
And they're just like, we're gonna quarantine your planet, dude.
Yeah,
because we're containing this right now. We're not letting it spread.
Wow. Great foresight there, Lanterns.
Yeah, the whole country should have read DCeased a year ago.
Maybe we would have known.
But Superman goes into the sun and absorbs all the energy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Wonder Woman's a zombie, and Cyborg goes up to her, and he ties her up with a lasso of truth so he could figure out a cure. And it turns out the cure is Cyborg, because he is both parts of the equation. And he wants to go warn everybody. And then Wonder Woman kills him, just rips Cyborg's head off.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's somehow going to survive. And I'm sure his technological side is going to somehow make a communication thing. I think it's going to be what happens in Volume 2, you know? Mm-hmm. But only one ship survived, and they're going into space.
And conveniently, it's like all the heroes that we know. Yeah, but they're leaving. I just wonder. This gets into the World War Z conversation I'm about to have with Frank. It really irks me when there's a zombie story that ends with there being a cure for the zombie virus.
Yeah,
it's like we're already off in uncharted territory. Why not just kill everyone? You know what I mean? Why not just have Superman eat the sun and it turns into a black hole and everyone's dead? And that's the end.
Well,
DCeased. Because they have to write another one. That's why.
They got to write another one. But they're going to write another one anyways, you know?
That's true. You can do whatever you want and they'll write another one.
But the cool part that I see what you mean there, and where, you know, there's potential the whole world can be saved. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, if Cyborg's dead, Cyborg's dead.
But he's not dead. You said it and you're right.
But what if I'm not right? What if Tom King realizes...
That's exactly what they're going to do.
Or not Tom King, Tom Taylor. What if Tom Taylor realizes, like, this is going to be the obvious answer. He's dead.
Tom Taylor's not that... he's not that clever. It's going to happen. No, I'm just joking, Tom Taylor. This was a very clever book.
And the second little tie-ins are cool. Oh, and it's called The Unkillables for a reason. It's the people that can't get infected, like Deathstroke can't get infected because of his blood for some reason. Bane can't, and a couple others. Mirror Master, and just some survivors in that sense too. Oh no, Bane just survived. Oof, it does get kind of cool.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And it does remind me of very much Walking Dead, because they're like in a school. And half the school has all the dead people, and there's just like kids as survivors, just kind of like surviving on their own and everything.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And The Unkillables.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to check that out.
It's only 2 issues out right now.
You know, overall, I think DCeased is a very... It's a good story.
I really enjoyed it. I don't have very many complaints.
No.
You know? A couple little plot things, like the Superman flash hand thing.
Yeah.
That's probably my only one, though.
Yeah, that seems pretty weird. But no, I mean, overall, I think more or less the same. I think it's a good little book. Mm-hmm. The art style's nice. The story's easy to follow if you're not a huge DC fan.
That's enjoyable. It's short, too. It's a good little read, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not something you're just going to dig your brain.
Although, I would say, man, I feel like Marvel Zombies was even shorter. Marvel Zombies just felt so small in scope compared to...
In scope, for sure.
Compared to what they're trying to do in DCeased in those 6 issues. Because in DCeased, we essentially have, you know, here's the cause of it. Here's the outbreak starting. Here's what we're going to do to affect it. We're going to try and find the cure and blah, blah, blah. And then now we have to escape the planet. Everything's gone too far. Like, they go through every stage of the outbreak. Where when we get in Marvel Zombies, it's just like, you're jumping in at the end, pretty much. Like, the world is already over, more or less. And then that's it. Like you get a little bit, you just get this little glimpse of this timeline, which I guess, you know, why not head into it now?
Yeah. And I could see that mentality behind it too. I'm not going to lie. I didn't really care for Marvel Zombies.
Really?
Yeah. There were aspects of it that I liked. I think it's some of Kirkman's weaker writing for sure.
Huh. Okay.
Just the overall layout of it, I was just like, I read, at one point I went on a really big binge and I read all of the Ultimate Universe, like 80% of it, except for like the X-Men and Captain America stuff and some spin-offs. Okay. And I remember reading the zombie issues and I was like, oh man, this is going to lead into Marvel Zombies. But the fact that you kind of need to read those, and then realizing that the Army of Darkness stuff is like a prequel, and then there's another prequel that was recently released a few years ago, and then it has like 5 volumes with all these other random tie-ins, and you kind of jump into the story a little. I do enjoy how, you know, you just jump in the story, but at the same time I was like kind of thrown off. Like, I don't remember what happened in those Fantastic Four issues, and I'm just picking it up as of volume 1. You know what I mean? And I don't think it would, like, this. There are no stakes in this entire volume.
That's interesting. Okay, like as opposed to in DCeased, we know like who we're protecting.
Yeah, like what they're like. Yeah, you know, there was just things to go for, and this one I was just like, I mean, they're hungry.
Well, the characters in this one are the zombie characters, which is the biggest difference right away. In DCeased, once they're zombies, they don't really talk.
Yeah.
Except for Wonder Woman at the end. But in this one, the superhero zombies can still communicate.
Yeah.
And then what I thought was really weird is that there are no zombies. There are no other zombies in the story. Mm-hmm. So, like, the people of Earth have all been eaten, I guess.
It's just heroes and villains.
Yeah, which is weird because when you read Ash versus, or Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness, there are. So it's a little confusing there. Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't read the Fantastic Four stuff until after I finished the issue. And it didn't throw me off entirely. I just assumed, like, okay, this is the scenario.
Yeah.
Like, the world's overrun by zombies, and Magneto's one of the last people left. So it didn't throw me off too much. To be honest, going back and reading the other ones makes it more confusing.
Really?
Yeah, like, when I went back and read the Fantastic Four issues, and basically, like, the Fantastic Four go through some kind of portal to another world.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
To another dimension.
I remember this. So what's happening in that series is that Reed Richards is trying to communicate to Reed Richards from another dimension.
There we go.
And he ends up communicating and thinking that he's talking to like a future alternate dimension, or maybe it's a future version of himself or something like that. And he's like trying to open a portal so they could communicate and work on stuff, not knowing that that's a zombie version of himself that's just trying to get to more food.
Yes.
Yeah. So
then the zombies show up, or they show up in this world where everyone, all the superheroes are pretty much zombies. Mm-hmm. And then they meet Magneto, who's trying to rescue his daughter, I'm pretty sure.
I guess. Is Magneto from this Earth or the Ultimate
I'm pretty
Earth?
sure Magneto is from Ultimate. Like, he's not from... So this gets so confusing.
No, he can't be, because Magneto's in Ultimatum later on in this series.
Yeah, the Magneto in this storyline is from this universe, from the Marvel Zombie universe. Right. So then the alternate Fantastic Four, the Ultimate Fantastic Four, they meet up with Magneto, and basically Magneto works with them to get through, you know, the ruins. And they fight a couple people. Mm-hmm. Thing fights Zombie Hulk. And the Ultimate Fantastic Four manages to get back to the teleportation device with Magneto and his daughter, but Magneto basically sacrifices himself, creates a diversion so that they can leave, and then Magneto's left there. And that's where this book just jumps in. Okay. Like, Magneto's surrounded by all the Marvel zombies.
Okay.
So then, yeah, when you read this book, you don't, I mean, I guess you don't need to know that. I think it honestly just makes it more confusing.
I can see that.
Because then you're like, man, now I got to go back even further and figure out why Reed Richards was even here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you just jump in and say, hey, you're getting an apocalypse story like 70% of the way through. Mm-hmm. There's no outbreak. There's no anything else. It's just, it's grim times.
Yeah.
Then I think it makes a little more sense. But, and I'll throw in the Army of Darkness stuff because I read that a long time ago, and I just kind of flipped through some of it right now. But basically, the book opens with Magneto being attacked by a huge cast of Marvel superheroes. It's Spider-Man, Thor, Daredevil, Moon Knight, Colonel America. Is that what he is?
Here he's Colonel America.
Because in this universe, he's been promoted, I guess. And he was also president at one point in time. They mention in the book that he used to be president in this universe. It was weird. Ant-Man, Angel, or Archangel. I never remember which one's which. Like, doesn't Angel become Archangel in some story?
Yes. Yeah. Like in the 90s, yeah.
But he's usually just called Angel, right?
Angel, yeah.
Yeah. And then Luke Cage, who I didn't recognize at first because I don't know anything about Luke Cage other than the Netflix show. Yeah. And he doesn't look anything like that. And then Wolverine. Good old Wolvie. You
know, this universe does has that 1960s, 1960s look to all the characters. Like Jack and Stan were still working on these characters. It's all those designs, which I thought was pretty interesting. It shows you how far back this disease may have started at that point, you know?
And yeah, you even see Cyclops like on the third or fourth page, like in his old school attire, which is weird because he doesn't come back for the rest of this whole thing. So yeah, basically Magneto is trying to escape these zombies who are just trying to eat him, and Magneto, I mean, obviously he's just super powerful, like being able to just control people through magnetics. There's this really funny thing at the beginning, which also, man, it really messes with what the rules are for this universe. Mm-hmm. Like, Magneto takes Captain's shield and cuts the top part of his head off. Yeah. So Captain is just like, he's missing half his head for the whole book.
It's super cool.
And then Magneto's running around with Captain America's shield, which I love when like characters get other people's things.
Oh yeah.
It just
looks too cool. Yeah.
And then we kind of get into some, oh no. What's your opinion? Do you think Asteroid M is too much of a deep cut for a random newbie? Is that too much?
Asteroid M?
Yeah, like, is that something that people wouldn't understand unless they were, moderate to large X-Men fan?
Dude, I don't even know what Asteroid M is.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess not. Asteroid M is like a base that Magneto uses in space for a while, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
With the Brotherhood of... Is it the Brotherhood of Mutants?
Here? Oh, yeah, Brotherhood of Mutants, yeah.
Yeah, and Asteroid M, I guess, a bunch of... Well, it seems like it's a lot of the Brotherhood, but also Forge is there. Mm-hmm. Basically, some of the last real, like, human ones are just floating around in space. Yeah. While the rest of the planet is getting wrecked. Mm-hmm. So Magneto fights off a bunch of these people, and then, at first it's just a cool fight, because you see him, like, kill Hawkeye.
Yeah, his head gets shot. But they don't say if he's dead or not either.
No, and they never go back to it. He just slices his head off with a shield. But ultimately, Magneto is got by Wasp, who flies to him all tiny and then gets bigger and chomps him. And then, man, they rip Magneto to shreds, dude. Yeah. And there's some straight up, just like Walking Dead...
These panels are great.
Panels of them just like ripping him apart and digging into the flesh.
The artist, it's not Sean Phillips.
Let me see if I can find it here. I think it is Sean Phillips. Yeah.
Oh, it is? That's his name?
It's Phillips for sure. Let me see here. I would assume it's Sean Phillips. I'm trying to find the page with the credits. Because on the cover it just says Phillips.
Maybe it is Sean Phillips. Well, yeah.
We're going to say it is.
We're going to say it is.
How many other Phillips are there? Although, quick note, I mean, I like the art style a lot of Marvel Zombies. They do this thing that's pretty frequent where, like, all the zombie characters, their face is cast in shadow.
Yeah. And just their teeth stand out.
Yeah, their teeth are they're always illuminated. It looks really cool.
It looks really cool. It's great designs.
I do got to say, though, I like the art style in Ultimate Fantastic Four a little bit better. Like, if you're reading Marvel Zombies, make sure you read issues 21, 22, and 23 of Ultimate Fantastic Four, where it shows the kickoff to this thing. But, man, the art style is beautiful in those books.
Oh, yeah. Dude, Ultimate Fantastic Four is probably my favorite out of all the Ultimate series.
Really?
And Fantastic Four is one of those series is that I've always wanted to get into the Fantastic Four, and then I start a series, and then, like, 2 issues in, I'm like, meh. But Ultimate Fantastic Four introduces some cool stuff. The Maker, which is the Reed Richards from that universe, goes insane with knowledge. And he gets this crazy forehead, and he ends up doing some insane stuff, and he gets this crazy helmet. Dude, it is good. If you're going to read a Fantastic Four series, that's worth it.
Interesting. Okay. Well, the art style is interesting enough to consider it for sure. Let me see here. Oh, well, after they eat Magneto, we kind of figure out how the rules work in this universe. And basically, when they have food, when they eat, they become sentient again for a little bit. They can think. And Spider-Man is, like, reflecting on him eating his, like, Mary Jane and Aunt May, and, like, he can't deal with it and everything. So for a little bit, they have they're kind of human again. Their humanity's returned. But as they get hungrier, they turn back into more animalistic creatures.
And I accepted that idea, but for the rest of the next 5 issues, they just stay the same. Like, their characters don't change. They don't go into savagery or anything.
Well, they mention why, though. And it's because of Silver Surfer, who shows up next, which to me was super confusing because they don't know who Silver Surfer is. Yeah. So in this universe, none of these characters have ever met Silver Surfer.
Yeah. Well, that's where I was thinking that this must have happened early early on.
Yeah. Well, it's also a parallel universe too.
Yeah.
So we can't assume that everything
the timelines like
are the same. Yeah. Everything could be having in totally different orders.
But I think the Silver Surfer was introduced maybe late 70s. So if this was like early 60s Avengers, and it looks like it by their outfits and the team that is together.
Oh, except for Wolverine, I guess, right? But yeah, everyone else.
Wolverine,
but you have to you have to include Wolverine.
Yeah, you just can't
he's the Batman of Marvel.
Yeah, practically, yeah. Yeah, it's one of those timeline things, and that did throw me off too. I was like, how do you guys not know who the Silver Surfer is?
That was really weird. In the second issue, though, and this is the part I really love, and it's just so Walking Dead also.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Where Ant-Man has T'Challa, Black Panther, he's got him like hooked up to this machine, and he cuts off a piece of his limb to eat but keep him alive.
Mm-hmm. So you can do experiments on him. Cool.
And also that he can keep his mind sharp. Mm-hmm. Like by continuing to eat slowly, he can still work on things, try and find a cure.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of interesting too. Mm-hmm. But then
it's very Hank Pym.
It is. Yeah, it is very Hank Pym. But then Wasp ends up finding out what's going on. She wants to eat all of them because she's just totally blood hungry. And Ant-Man bites her head off, man.
Again, very Hank Pym. He smacks her and then bites her head off.
Yeah.
That's what really threw me off about doing Ant-Man and putting Jane in like the cinematic universe. Because I think it happened in the 60s comics too, but in the Ultimate Universe, like he is kind of cast away because he's like a woman beater.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard about that a lot. But to be fair to the cinematic universe, it's not Paul Rudd's character. It's technically the older
one. Yeah. Which I guess I could see as a
yeah, right. You can see that. But yeah, so I think Marvel's trying to maybe just kind of like push that aside a little bit.
Rug,
oh no, that was him.
Yeah.
No, that's not Scott.
Yeah,
that's Hank Pym that you guys don't like. Scott Lang's Paul Rudd. Everyone loves Paul Rudd. He would never hit a woman.
And I know, too good. I do like how they kind of do a flash where it shows like Captain Britain, Doctor Doom, all the other people across the world. Although, and I'm going to complain about this, is that throughout this entire series, they use the same panel layout over and over. It's a 2-page spread with one image, and then they have like 5 or 6 bottom panels. And they just recycle that thing over and over.
That's true. I didn't think about that, but that is true. And you know what? It's particularly on the one you're talking about. It's really annoying because they have this giant 2-page spread of Silver Surfer, and then in one of the tiny boxes is Silver Surfer's head again.
Yes.
Like, was this necessary to show me
exactly
almost the same exact facial expression on the same page? You could have
thrown in another hero or something.
Just anyone. You could have done anything. You know what I mean? So that seems like a weird choice. But then we find they're in Times Square, and Iron Man is confronting this group that's just returned after they've eaten Magneto, picked it off the bones.
Yeah.
And Iron Man, just how it always is in Marvel, it's like Captain America and Iron Man are both leaders, and who's going to be the one that we follow, and yada, 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 yada. But basically, they're like, yeah, sorry, we ate all of them, man. Like, they tried to lie to him at first, and then he was like, no way. Like,
he tricked Spidey into seeing how emotional he is.
Oh, how emotional he is, yeah. Why is Spider-Man feeling so many emotions then? And why is Bruce Banner not Hulk? We all know that when he's hungry, he's Hulk. So you guys just ate. And he's like, sorry, there wouldn't have been enough. Because really the problem with this for the zombies is that there's so many of them now. You can't really tell for sure, but it looks like there's like 80 of them in this crowd or something of just Marvel cast. And it's like, they've eaten everything.
Yeah.
There's no more food. They already know that they taste terrible. So they're not going to do that. And then Silver Surfer shows up and says, hey, Galactus is coming to eat your planet. And sorry, just to let you know. And the next issue's great, man. They just fight Silver Surfer, and they straight up eat him, dude.
They beat the hell out of him too, which is too cool, dude. Wolverine, where he strikes him and his skin falls off of his bones.
Yes,
that was too awesome.
And then he just rips the arm out, and then eventually Hulk gets him. Silver Surfer like boils his face skin. His skin's all saggy and covered in he looks like Swamp Thing for a second.
Yeah.
And then Hulk bites his head off, man.
Which is insane.
So then now all the Marvel zombies they're getting these like galactic powers.
It's cosmic powers.
From Silver Surfer, cosmic powers. They can shoot out those beams of light or whatever they call it. I'm sure there's some stupid name for that. And then, well, we don't learn this yet, but this is why for the rest of the book that they're somewhat sentient, because since they all have these holes inside their body, when Silver Surfer's like body, the chunks that they ate fall through their body, they just eat it again.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And that's what's keeping them sane.
And they were saying that their insides are so acidic that everything they've eaten so far is just evaporated. But because he's the Silver Surfer, it's just getting a little smaller every time. So for now, they can consume this all they want. And then we basically get the B storyline. This is the problem with the flow, though. And it is what you were just talking about. Up to this point, it's now issue 3. It's like, okay, who are our heroes, really?
Yeah.
Like, Kirkman has written this book to where it's not even about, like, who are we rooting for? It's just like, hey, look at this. Like, look at us tear Silver Surfer into pieces.
Yeah, it doesn't have, like, a purpose at
No,
all,
it doesn't.
You know?
This is, like, a super fan servicey book, I think. Whereas DCeased
yeah.
probably made a better, like, plot line.
Yeah, there's, like, some emotional moments in there at least, you know?
Yeah.
Like... This one's very void of everything. And then you have these 90s looking extreme dudes with gold shoulder pads.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this is the Brotherhood of Mutants. Like, I know Lady Deathstrike's there.
Yep.
This one dude looks like Pyro, the one who gets fried pretty quick. But I don't know who the other ones are supposed to be.
No idea.
These guys, though, they're humans. And they meet up with Black Panther, who was woken up by Wasp. By her head only. I don't know how she managed to get him out of that tube he was in, because at this point it's just her zombie head.
I'm so ridiculous. They don't explain Hawkeye, but this is the clear explanation that you do live without your head.
Yeah, and I'll get into that right now, because there is an explanation, but it's not in this book. And
really?
It is some classic, complaining, rightfully so, I think. I would have complained about it if it was DC, so I'll complain about it since it's Marvel. But anyways, Black Panther and these guys basically join up, and then they leave. So to me, I would think the obvious thing is like, okay, now these guys are going to fight the zombie,
the zombie
I was expecting
heroes, that too,
and they're going to blah, blah, blah. No, they just leave. They're like, you know what? We're out of here, man.
We got you, and that's it.
And I'm assuming, because there's like 5 more volumes of Marvel Zombies, that something else is going to happen. In the next book, though, Galactus shows up, not very happy that they're like, sorry, we ate Silver Surfer. Like,
and I know Galactus isn't known for his great dialogue, but his dialogue is terrible here. I can't help but wonder, where is my herald?
Oh, yeah. I admire your resolve. It is a trait I have come to note among the denizens of few of the planets I have consumed. Yeah, it's very like...
It's rough.
It's super wordy. Anyways, so they're trying to figure out now, man, how are we going to kill this guy? It's too much. Hank Pym's like, let's come back to my lab. It'll make sense when we get there. And then they get there, and then Black Panther's gone, and then Cap's like, what is this supposed to be, man? Like, what's going on here? And he's like,
they find Jan's body.
Oh, it was supposed to be the Wasp. But no, it's when they open up the thing.
Yeah.
He was like supposed to show him that Black Panther was there. He's like, oh, I had to kill her. This is where I was keeping her body. I don't know where it's gone.
He's like, oh, yeah, that's...
Oops.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah.
So anyways, they make this big energy beam weapon. And in the meantime, Galactus is fighting pretty much the Spider-Man Rogue Gallery plus a couple others.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I thought this part was really cool too. I liked seeing all of the Marvel zombies, the Marvel villain zombies, I should say. They make a big energy weapon. Stark, Banner, and Pym, all being the big scientists, and they destroy. Well, they don't destroy Galactus with it, but they hit him real good with his laser.
Yeah.
So then they get out. It seems like he's killed, and in the last issue. Now the villains are wanting to fight the superheroes over who gets to eat him. And, I mean, spoiler alert, they're all going to die, especially because all of these characters have, like, these Silver Surfer beams that they're shooting out. But it's cool because you get a lot of really cool fights. Like, Spider-Man blasts a hole in Venom.
Yeah.
And it's like the symbiote already dying.
Oh, and
I was no
Green
longer
Goblin.
a suitable host.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Green Goblin one's good. When Wolverine kills Juggernaut, he's like, "Oh, there's one place your armor's missing," and he stabs him in the mouth and then blows his head up with that energy beam.
Yes,
it's awesome, dude. It's so good. My favorite one though is Red Skull and Captain America. Captain America's talking all this trash because he's like, I mean, what did you think? You could beat me in a physical fight? And then Red Skull straight up just
grabs
his brains out, man. He scoops the brains out of his head. And that's it for Cap.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you remove the brain all the way,
that's it.
That's it. They're dead. But you got to do all of it. It can't even be half of it. But this is what I'm talking about, and this is like how I'll say, you know, DCeased, and DCeased feels more like a concise story. It feels more like 6 issues and we're done. At the end of Marvel Zombies Volume 1, it feels like we're at the first step. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because now we're skipping ahead 5 years later, after our zombie heroes eat Galactus. T'Challa and I guess the Brotherhood have returned to Earth. It's now overtaken by jungle. Looks like Poison Ivy's there.
Oh, dude. And yeah, the part that griped me about all this is that there's a scene where T'Challa's missing all these limbs.
Yeah.
And then he glances at the one girl and she makes a joke about like flirting with him.
Yeah.
And then here we go to this flash. And they have a kid together. Like, I was like, dude, come on.
Well, there's like 10 people left that are human, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're in a spaceship. There's 10 of you left in the whole world, like of mankind. You got to get busy with the baby making. You got to repopulate the Earth a little bit.
I hated that relationship connection.
I don't even know who this girl's supposed to be either.
Know.
This is like some really B-list X-Men character, I'm pretty sure. But then it's also, they show that because T'Challa, when he left, he took Wasp's head, and they've somehow suppressed her zombie nature. I don't know how, but they built this like robot suit, and her head's like floating in a jar.
I didn't get that either.
Yeah, that part's weird. I mean, we'd have to assume that they made some kind of liquid or whatever. But so anyways, they get there, and then they don't know what's going on. They're like, where is everyone? We've scanned the whole planet. There's no life form whatsoever. And then they shoot over to this like alien world, and they're just having this big lengthy discussion. Are you sure this is happening? Oh yeah. Well, we've got these informations from Dead Worlds. Galactus comes. And how much time do we have? None. And then the issue ends with just like the Marvel zombies coming out of a teleportation thing.
In Galactus suits?
Galactus suits. And on this crowds of scared aliens like trying to run away. And you just know that these like 6 Marvel zombies are going to devour the whole planet. And that's a good ending to a zombie book though. Like the Marvel zombies have eaten everything on Earth and now they've left. And they've gone to eat something else. So I don't know. I like Marvel Zombies. I think DCeased is arguably a better story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But man, I just thought Marvel Zombies was a lot of fun. Now, here's the confusing part because I did look up the Marvel Zombies reading order.
Oh, I have that pulled up too.
We have the exact same site.
Oh, okay, cool.
So the first 2, Army of Darkness, The Death of Ash, issue 12 and 13. I have a lot of Army of Darkness books. I don't have these.
Oh, wow.
And now I really feel like I want to pick them up so I can read how this goes over. But I'm pretty sure this is the separate story where Ash is being sent. There's like a physical embodiment of the Necronomicon.
Oh, wow.
And that's Ash is sent through some portal, which is where Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness show up. Mm-hmm. So technically the first thing like in this chronology of like literally, because I'm pretty sure Army of Darkness Death of Ash is the Ash setup to this story.
Okay.
Where Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness is literally like the beginning of this story. So if you read Marvel Zombies and you're a little bit bummed, you're like, man, how come I didn't get to see everyone turn into a zombie and what about the end of the world or whatever? That's what this book is. Oh, so wow. Like Ash shows up.
I've seen that book. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I bought these at your comic store at All Star one time after getting a tooth pulled. And I was like a little like whacked out on whatever they had given me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like a little loopy and I went in the store and they were just selling them all together. But I was super stoked. It was the first time I'd ever been in that store. The book starts off with something great, and I don't even know what this guy's name is. Do you know who the Wrecking Crew is?
Yeah.
Okay, so the book starts off with Ash getting teleported into this other universe.
Okay.
And this evil Deadite, priest or whatever, the Necronomicon guy, is telling Ash, hey, the world is going to end. So then Ash leaves, and there's a fight going on between Daredevil and some guy from Wrecking Crew.
Uh-huh.
And Ash doesn't know who the bad guy is. He's like, which one of these guys in the suit is the bad one? And he ends up like distracting Daredevil and getting Daredevil taken out. Like he helps the bad guy win. It's just hilarious.
Who wrote this one?
This is by, I don't know, actually. Let me see. I definitely don't think it's Kirkman.
Was this the only volume that Kirkman did?
I think Kirkman did all 5 Marvel Zombies. I could be wrong. I thought he did all of them, but dude, this is weird. I'll have to give this to you right now, but there is no credits page to this. There is an advertisement for Spider-Man 3 on the inside, though.
Oh, wow. So it shows the age.
It shows the age for sure. This is an older book, right? Also, I love this cover. It's just a shout out to like
I think that's
80s
what's great
X-Men
about all of these covers.
Oh,
is
they're
that
great,
they're
yeah.
homages to all the classic covers in general. Like the main one for all of it is the Secret Wars cover.
Oh yeah. I've seen that one. That one is really good. But anyways, when this book starts off, it starts off with Ash meeting up with the Avengers before they're zombies. And Ash is like, hey guys, like, I'm from another universe, and the Necronomicon is this evil book of the dead, and it's going to turn you all into Deadites. And I'm here to save you. And then Captain America just totally ignores him. And Scarlet Witch teleports him somewhere else. So then Ash is like running back to catch him again, and he meets up with the Avengers again, and he's like, guys, seriously, this is what's happening. And then Captain America has Spider-Man tie him up and like web him up and take him out somewhere else. So then this guy, and who is this again, Brandon? You were just telling me.
Oh, Sentry.
Sentry.
Yeah.
He's technically the first one to get bitten.
Huh.
So then,
and he's kind of like a Superman of the he's like one of the Superman.
The super powered.
Yeah.
And then basically this is where it starts, where everyone starts getting infected. Mm-hmm. So Spider-Man is trying to rescue Ash, and at the end of the issue, Captain America like leaps out of the air and bites Spider-Man in the neck.
Oh, wow.
And that's how Spider-Man becomes a zombie. So the chronology is exactly the same. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is because how this series ends is just so Army of Darkness. So like Ash is running away from zombie Wolverine and zombie Hulk. Mm-hmm. And he has the Necronomicon because he's going to undo this thing. And before going into the portal, Ash decides, you know what? I'm going to leave the Necronomicon here with all these mindless zombies. And so he just drops the Necronomicon and he walks to the door. So then on this next page, it's got like Wolverine and Hulk with the Necronomicon. And Wolverine's like, what have we here? And then the Necronomicon says, unhand me, desolate one, for I am the feared and fearsome Necronomicon with a power too terrible for you to even begin to comprehend. Death is my dominion, and I have a host of the deadite corpses to serve it at my every command. So then Wolverine is just saying, he's just talking about him, blah, 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 blah. They're going back and forth. And then Wolverine's like, what? Eat you? What are you talking about? You're a book. And then the Necronomicon's like, but Williams told me, like he was saying that, oh, they're going to eat you if I leave you here, you stupid book. And Wolverine's like, sounds like you've been hoodwinked, bub, bamboozled, flim-flam. Nobody wants to eat a book. And the Necronomicon's like, huh? So then Wolverine throws it. Here you go, Greenie. He gives it to Hulk. What are you going to do with me? Well, we may be zombies, but we still need toilet paper. And then Hulk says, zombie Hulk eats lots. And zombie Hulk needs lots of toilet paper.
Oh my god!
And then it just ends with a Necronomicon going, no! So that's like...
That's ridiculous.
So then Ash starts going through all these alternate universes, trying to decide where to go. Like, oh no, alien, too Mesozoic, too post-apocalyptic. Mm-hmm. And he ends up landing in another universe where all the Marvel characters are werewolves. And that's how Marvel's Zombies versus Army of Darkness
That is ridiculous.
Which is beautiful.
That's cool.
It's so stupid, man. It's so stupid.
It is funny as hell.
But it's interesting because that means in this continuity that the zombies are not zombies; they're deadites, and that's why they can talk.
Okay.
Because in Evil Dead, the deadites do talk.
All right.
Now, all this stuff about eating flesh and being satiated and being more, that isn't in Evil Dead. So the continuity is pretty, like, wobbly.
Everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's not nearly as concise as it is in DCeased.
And that came out a year after Marvel Zombies.
Yeah, so it is a, like, you know, a prequel. It's literally it came out later. But they fumbled a little bit. Like, if they were going to try and tie in Evil Dead, at that point, it was a little too late. I'm sure that wasn't Kirkman's intention either. He wasn't like, oh, let me write an Evil Dead Marvel Zombies crossover with no Ash. So, I don't know, man. I enjoyed them both. I think DCeased, I honestly think you'll probably enjoy him. You know, if you're like a really big Marvel fan, then you'll probably like Marvel Zombies better. And if you're a really big DCeased fan, you'll probably like DCeased better.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Aren't you a bigger DC fan than Marvel? Like, you're frequently saying that.
But I love Marvel still.
I don't know. That's not what you said on the podcast, Brandon. I have recordings. I can.
Reading a Marvel book of my choice next.
You literally said at the beginning of this episode they have good characters but terrible storylines.
Oh well, yeah, dude. Have you read the Kree Skull War or Secret Wars?
No, I haven't.
Terrible. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there's probably like decades of DC material that's just not readable.
Both of them have their flaws. Well, real fast, I wanted to, dude, what you were going over, dude, the continuity of this book is so, like, if I'm somebody that, if I get something, I want to read it start to finish. I need to know everything, you know? Like, I'm going to know it all. That's why I like omnibuses, because they're just the whole story.
And it's a fun word, too. It's a really fun word to say.
Omnibus, yeah. Omnibuses. But this one jumps from Army of Darkness, The Death of Ash, 12 and 13. I don't even know when that came out. And then versus Army of Darkness. Yeah. And then you read issue 1 and 2, and then you read Marvel Zombies Dead Days number 1. And then you go back to Marvel Zombies versus the Army of Darkness 3, 4, 5. And then you jump to Ultimate Fantastic 4, 21 and 23. Then you start Marvel Zombies.
Yeah.
And then you read the first volume, 5 issues. Then you go back to Ultimate Fantastic 4, 30 through 32.
Whoa, okay.
Exiles, 85, 86. Ultimate Civil War, Spider-Ham number 1.
Spider-Ham number 1?
Yeah.
Wow.
Black Panther, volume 4, 26. Back to Fantastic 4, issues 544 to 546, which is, like, I guess the main, not Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
And then back to Black Panther, volume 4, 27 through 30. And then you start Marvel Zombies, volume 2, which was also written by Kirkman.
Okay.
Marvel Apes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. Marvel Zombies Volume 3, and Kirkman's not writing Volume 3.
Okay. So
from Volume 3 on, he's out.
Okay.
And then you read Volume 3 and 4 back to back, as it kind of should be in that sense, you know, maybe one tie-in in the middle of it all. And then you do Deadpool, Merc with a Mouth, issues 1 through 13. Marvel Apes Speedball Special, which is the signature Wolverine move. That sounds weird. And then Marvel Apes Special, Marvel Apes Special, Marvel Apes Prime 8, 1 through 3, and then Marvel Zombies Evil Evolution, Marvel Zombies Return, Prelude to Deadpool Corpse, Marvel Zombies Volume 5, which was 2010, Marvel Zombies Supreme, Zombie Christmas Carol, Marvel Zombies Destroy, and these are all different volumes, Marvel Zombies Halloween, and then when they did the kind of the crisis thing with Secret Wars, the most recent one, there's Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That is a mess, man.
Like, it just spins around, like,
so many different writers and art styles too, I bet. Like, I bet it's so disconnected.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if you just read the 5 Marvel Zombies, how much sense would it make? I'm curious now. Like,
I mean, that's what I'm going to do.
If I skip all that and just read the core.
Yeah, exactly.
How confusing is it going to be?
Maybe 1 or 2 of the tie-ins, like Dead Days or something, you know?
I think that is a worthy criticism, Brandon. Of course, now we have to see
Well, oh wait, my bad. My gripe with that is that when I picked up DCeased, and I was like, man, all these people need to know about the fourth world and stuff like this, and it's hard for someone to pick up. And then I pick up Marvel Zombies, and I'm like, this is way too out there.
That's true.
Like, you know, I mean, yeah, you have to know, it introduces you to Darkseid and the anti-life equation, but you don't really need to know about him. You pick up, you know? But at least it starts from a certain point. They defeat Darkseid, and they spend weeks fighting him, and they're all like, all right, we need to go chill out. And then all this stuff starts, you know? It gives you a proper introduction, and you have a story. You know, it's very fluid. It just, Marvel Zombies just... And, I mean, after reading Walking Dead, like, Kirkman is such a better writer than what I was reading in Marvel Zombies.
I see what you're saying. It did seem kind of...
lazy.
I mean, there wasn't a ton of focus on it. It didn't seem like. It wasn't...
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't holding this up as, oh, this is going to be a prized treasure I'm going to write or something.
Yeah.
Of course, the only thing I got to say is right now, for DCeased, we have a tiny bit of that going on. Mm-hmm. Like, we have the first 6 issues, but already you have to, in between 5 and 6 or whatever, in between 4 and 5, you need to read A Good Day to Die.
We don't have to, though.
Well, how many of these do you have? Like, you don't have to read Marvel's Zombies versus Army of Darkness, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Like, you're not really going to, it's not going to, oh, now the whole story makes sense. It's just going to be like, oh, okay, well, this part's filled in and Ash is here.
Yeah.
If you're an Army of Darkness fan, then you might want to read that. But Marvel Zombies has been around for 13 years now.
Yeah.
What is DCeased going to look like in 13 years is all I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, definitely.
They're going to have, you know, maybe not as many ridiculous tie-ins. But see, that kind of thing does keep me away from wanting to read the rest of Marvel Zombies. Like, I don't want to have to track down
stuff,
Marvel Apes or whatever, or blah, blah, blah. This all sounds like way too much.
And that's my biggest gripe. And it's always, Marvel does this all the time. And that's what, I think that's what strays me away, and that's why I just don't like Marvel at a certain extent, is that when they do crossovers, and if you don't read Thor and Venom and Spider-Gwen, then you're not going to know what's happening in the main line.
Or what's it called? Absolute Carnage. It's a great example, man. That book is just crazy. All the spinoffs.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That they've done.
Well, I've tried reading, what was it, Secret Empire, and then I went from issue 1, and then I read issue 2, and I was so confused because so much had happened in the spinoffs that I was like, this is a different ball game now.
And how do people do this? Because I'm not totally familiar with this. Is at the end of issue 1, did it tell you, hey, go read this issue next?
A lot of them will have like, this is your checklist. You know what I mean?
Okay,
like,
they'll have some kind of thing in there. But other than that, they just expect you to research and know what you need to buy to read.
Not cool. Like, I don't care.
That's a hassle, man.
Black Widow or whatever. Like,
well, it seems like it's really just a marketing scheme. They want you to,
they need to sell the books.
They want you to buy this other book in the hopes that next week you'll buy the next issue of that book too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little too much, man.
And, you know, DC's not guilty of it either, you know, but I will say that
DC is guilty of it.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, DC is not innocent of that either.
Yeah.
But I mean, for example, there's the tie-ins to Doomsday Clock, and well, this is a terrible example, but
well, it's the perfect example. It's exactly the same thing.
Well, no, they have tie-ins, and it's for Batman and Flash, but those 2 Batman issues and those 2 Flash issues, if you just read them, they coincide and they make sense into a story. And they're a tie-in to Doomsday Clock, but they're not relevant enough that you must read this to understand Doomsday Clock. And if you don't read this, you won't understand.
You know, the only reason that doesn't make a good example is because Doomsday Clock doesn't make sense.
Exactly. I know. That's why. Yeah. Right when I started, I was just like, no, this isn't great.
You can read whatever you want. It's not going to make sense.
But a lot of their major story arcs, when they have some of these like Crisis on Infinite Earths, they had a bunch of tie-ins, but you didn't need to read those tie-ins to understand the whole story.
I guess that's true.
You know?
Well, we won't know for sure until we read the rest of Marvel Zombies. And then you'll have your for sure answer. Like, if you try and read Marvel Zombies Volume 2 and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Then you'll know immediately.
Yeah.
Of course, that is the feeling reading Marvel Zombies right off the bat.
Yeah. And that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't mind it. I don't mind a cold open. Here's your scenario.
I don't mind a cold open if it's explained and it ties back and the story makes sense. Stuff like that, when you show me, it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. You start off just like, whoa, what is going on?
Yeah.
The dude's shot, bloodied in the back seat. But you finish the movie and you're like, Oh, it's a whole story.
I guess that's true.
It's a whole collected idea. Not
so you don't like in Star Wars where it starts off with Darth Vader on the ship with all the rebels? You don't like that part because you're like, wait, what? They didn't explain where the rebellion came from. Who's Darth Vader? You know what I mean? Who are all these people?
No, that's appropriate. It's more than appropriate.
Well, I think that's our zombie books, man. I think Marvel Zombies is the least.
Marvel Zombies. You should go
I would
read
say
it.
DCeased is probably the better self-contained story.
Yeah.
I would say though that Marvel Zombies is probably a little more fun. That's my verdict.
Fun because DCeased
it's a more
is
enjoyable read.
Really? No, I didn't think.
I would say so. I think DCeased is a good story.
I thought Marvel Zombies kind of dragged on some of that dialogue.
I don't know, man.
Really?
I just don't like all the nerdy DC characters. Is what it is.
The captains, the Adams.
Well, I mean, Aquaman. I was already dealing with Aquaman and Green Lantern. I'm already like, these guys are lame. Flash is lame. Superman's lame. Not to mention all these other guys. Ugh.
Now you know about all these other Booster Golds.
I like how tongue in cheek it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, very serious.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah.
I see what your point on that for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we got to read them. I'm glad we got to compare them. It was a good choice. It was your idea to like compare the two zombie books.
I have the best ideas.
It's like your second idea this entire book. That's because you make so little of them.
Yeah, it's true. Hey, Little Bird, great book, man.
Great book. Can't wait for that sequel.
Me too.
Man, do you have a pull list? What have you been up to?
Oh man, you know what, dude? I wanted to discuss a trailer with you, and then I didn't even watch it. That new Vin Diesel superhero movie that has been released now.
Oh, Bloodshot.
Bloodshot, yeah. But who cares? Okay, pull list. I just saw Invisible Man on that direct stream thing. I think it was good. I don't think it's not terribly original, you know, like you can kind of guess what kind of scares go into a movie about an invisible man. Mm-hmm. I did enjoy it though. It's well acted. It's got good pacing. It's a little lengthy. I think maybe it could have been tightened up a little bit. There is an interesting like feminism kind of vibe to it. And I just watched Hollow Man recently, and that movie is like depraved and like he's like a total pervert. It's really disgusting. And in this movie, there's kind of like an underlying female empowerment storyline to it when you watch the movie.
That's what's in right now.
Yeah, it is. It's not as like beating it over your head as some other movies do, like Captain Marvel. But it was enjoyable. I just thought it was such an interesting contrast that, you know, 20 years ago we get Hollow Man and Hollywood's totally different, and that's the kind of like disgusting degenerate movie we get. And then Invisible Man, you know, not produced by the Weinsteins is you know, delightful. So that's a good movie. I check it out. If you have a Switch and you don't have Animal Crossing, I don't know what you're doing. Everyone should be playing Animal Crossing right now, whether you have a Switch or not. You need to go buy one. You need to get Animal Crossing.
I was tempted to.
Everyone should do it. In no way will it ever be a poor decision. To be honest, man, other than that, I cranked through World War Z.
Nice.
Because Frank and I are doing it right now.
Yes.
And it was fun revisiting that. That is a truly
zombie-filled weekend.
I did, dude. So much zombies. We watched the movie too.
Do you play the game? Isn't it free right now on Xbox or?
It's free on PC, and it has crossplay with Xbox.
Oh.
I own it on PS4. I bought it when it was on sale at GameStop or something. It's fun. It's exactly Left 4 Dead. It's actually slightly clunkier than Left 4 Dead, which is kind of lame. But if you've had a gap in your soul for Left 4 Dead because it's been so long, then World War Z might scratch the itch a little bit. It's not bad by any means, but the whole time I'm playing it, I'm like, man, should I just hook up my 360 and play Left 4 Dead again?
At that point,
it's a tighter game. It's a better game.
Yeah, the game was awesome,
dude. Left 4 Dead is great.
So
like
much fun.
The game design is like flawless. Yeah. Man, I might just do that. But no, man. I mean, other than that, I haven't been up to much else. I guess. I mean, you would think with the quarantine and everything, you'd have more time to read, but I just find myself getting a little distracted. Oh, I did want to bring up one thing. I managed to read, I don't know if I talked about this last podcast, so this is a repeat. I apologize, everyone. I managed to read the spin-off of Walking Dead that used to be a digital-only comic, and on Local Comic Day, when I bought that DCeased hardcover, they were selling it. It's not written by Kirkman. It's like the only Walking Dead thing that's not Kirkman.
Yeah, Brian K. Vaughan or someone wrote that, didn't they?
Yeah. And it's actually Rick's brother. It tells you what happened to Rick's brother.
I want to read that.
I gotta say, it's a fun little thing, but like every Walking Dead sub-story they read, at the end of it, you're like, oh, okay, well.
Yeah.
Like it's fun, but it's never enough.
Yeah.
It felt like what they had, they should have done 2 or 3 issues, and maybe Kirkman wouldn't have wanted that or whatever, but it would have felt fun.
You can't just do like one shots are hard to pull off without you're never gonna be fully satisfied at that point. It'll be very forgettable after a few years.
Only other thing, I finally cracked into issue 2 of Wonder Woman Dead Earth.
Oh, how's that?
Everybody, that book is great.
Nice.
It is great. I can't believe I'm so excited about a Wonder Woman story. We should do it on the show when it's done. Like when it's wrapping up. Man, it's good.
Because it has what's his face, the artist from Little Bird.
Oh, and that's probably why I'm just all over it.
Is it? No, wait.
I don't think it is, but it looks just like it.
It's the guy from the Murder Falcon.
Oh, I don't know a Murder Falcon. It sounds great. But dude, it is a really good read. I mean, I'll let you borrow issue 1 if you're just bored.
I have issue 1. I need to read issue 2.
You should just crack it up.
I have a digital copy.
Crack it open, man. It is good.
It's down. It's on the iPad to get read. I did put it on there this week.
There you go. What about you? What do you have, man?
I'm trying to go through my boxes. I'm trying to go through stuff I haven't read yet, you know?
It's a good time for that.
So I've owned the first... I've always liked Spawn since I was a kid. And mainly because I was 5 years old and I really like Kiss, and Spawn looked like Kiss. So
that's true. There's a lot of crossover there.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover there. And I saw the movie real young for some reason.
I do, me too. I've seen that movie so many times.
And you know what? It the other night.
I haven't seen it in years. Is it bad?
It's 90s, but dude, honestly, it's not horrendous.
Very interesting.
When you think of it this way, it came out in 1997. For one, that was the same year as Batman and Robin. That was a way more Batman movie than Batman and Robin. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not the best, but it's like a good, like if you want to just like, hey, what's Spawn? Bam. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
It's watch the director's cut for sure, because I didn't watch the director's cut recently, this last week, and I could tell there were scenes that I was like, no, this isn't flowing right, but they skip a lot in the not director's cut.
Okay.
But I watched it just to show my girlfriend, and she enjoyed it too, for just being like, you talk about Spawn all the time. Like, this is a cool introduction to him. You know, the suit looks awesome for being 1997.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering about, cause I remember it looking really cool.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
The suit is cool.
Okay.
But the CGI in that film
is,
but I feel like it was crap like in 1997 too.
Yeah. I mean,
you know?
It's not even until the last 5 or 6 years where CGI got so good where it was the point that maybe your brain didn't catch it.
Yeah, you know.
But like all through the 90s, when you saw some CGI, you're like, ugh.
You could tell that is a background, and that is, dude, Malbogia. Oof.
Ooh.
Oh, it's bad.
Well, you know,
his mouth doesn't even move.
Shout out though, of course, to Jurassic Park, which is just like, it's unbelievable.
Oh yeah,
how good that movie looks.
Yeah.
For being like, what was it, 93 or something, or 94?
Yeah, super great. And then we started rewatching the Spawn animated series, the one on HBO.
Okay.
And that came out the same year, 1997, and it's the same writer.
That was Spawn's year, man.
Well, what tripped me out was that, you know, I've known about Spawn for a while, and I've never really read his comics. So I read the first like 28 issues, and, you know, Alan Moore did some issues, Neil Gaiman did some issues. I read Alan Moore's Violator spinoff this morning, and it's not horrendous, but it's not good. But it's cool. It's 90s, you know, it's very extreme in that sense. But it tripped me out when you think about Spawn. Came out in 1992. 5 years later, it's only on issue maybe 60 something. Very consecutive book, but 5 years later, he got a movie and an animated show. And then that is unheard of.
And then, like, within years, also a bunch of video games. Because there was Spawn on PlayStation,
on PC,
Dreamcast had a Spawn game.
And then there was, dude, the one Armageddon that was on Xbox, PS2.
Yeah.
Game is dope.
Really?
It was such a cool story.
Most of them are bad. Oh, and then he's even in Soul Calibur. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was hitting it big for like 5 or 6 years.
I only bought the new Mortal Kombat. Well, one, it was on sale.
Yeah.
But because it had all these DC skins and it had Spawn in it. And I was like, all right, I'm down. So that's why I wanted to get into Spawn again, was the Mortal Kombat game. But just that's insane. 5 years for an independent book. And independent books weren't heard of.
Yeah.
You know, Image was really one of the first that made it, or Image was the first publisher that made it big with their independent books. And Spawn was the highest selling book, #1 book. It sold millions. Millions, like 1 million copies or something. Because people were just like, oh, it's a #1. It's going to be worth so much. But then it saturated the market. It ain't worth shit. Oh, sorry, Frank. That was barely anything. Yeah. So I decided to check it out. Todd's writing is horrendous. But, dude, for the first time, I'm reading the letter columns. And there's some brutal stuff in there. People just trash talk Todd so hard.
Really?
And it's all in there. And just talking.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was great. But Todd, I've met him a few times. Super polite guy, will always talk to you, will always shake your hand, real smiling, always super positive. And that's how he responds to these people. And I love it. But there's so many little legal battles that went on during this time between him and Neil Gaiman, because he didn't want to pay Gaiman royalties after a while, and he cut it off, and him and Neil Gaiman got in this big legal battle.
Whoa, okay.
Miracle Man, Todd bought Eclipse Comics, but Neil Gaiman owned part of Miracle Man. But Todd tried to put Miracle Man in the Spawn comics, and there became another legal battle after that. That's why there hasn't been any Miracle Man spin-offs or revivals or anything. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff. If we do a Miracle Man episode, we'll go into it, because Neil Gaiman does write the 4th volume that I haven't read yet, actually. But it's some cool stuff. Like, the first few issues are real clunky, but I'm real familiar with it because of the cartoon and everything. They pull lines directly out of the comics into the movies, and it works, you know? It all blends together. I thought it was, you know, it's cool stuff. I don't think you'll get into it, but me being I have to be the all-knower of all this stuff. I'm glad I'm reading it, and I would love to get to issue 300 because it hit the milestone last year.
Oh my gosh!
It's the first indie book to hit that many.
Wow!
It won an award because it hit 301.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, Greg Capullo, one of my favorite Batman artists, started in issue like 16, so it's cool seeing his early work as well. A lot of cool little, you know, Frank Miller did some issues, stuff like that. A lot of cool little tidbits that kept me interested. And I'm just going to keep reading it, see what happens. But caught up on some Justice League comics. What else did I do? Marvel Zombies, DCeased. It's really all I've done. I'm going to start my samurai research this week with Lone Wolf and Cub.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to tell me how you enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
It seems interesting.
Yeah. But that's it. I mean, even then, you think we'd have more time, but I have so much schoolwork and other projects.
Yep.
It's always busy.
It's never time.
But anything else?
No, I just, thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah.
Stay safe out there. And
hopefully we'll cover some more content during this time. It'll all be, I think we're going to do Skype episodes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
This might be our last in person for a while.
So we'll see how that goes. We are potentially looking at Earth X for our next episode.
You're cursing it right now by saying it out loud.
I know.
I'm just
we're not going to do it now.
No, we're not. Every time we tell someone, this is what's coming next, the next week it's just something totally different.
Totally different field. Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging, David.